What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a new YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about f1.4 and specifically why you should not be shooting on it. I think shooting completely wide open on a prime lens has become very, very trendy nowadays. I myself have done it. A lot of other people continue to do it. And really what I'm just trying to explain to you guys today is that it's okay to try and use different apertures. And we're going to explain to you what that means, how to do it, and how it's going to affect your image. So let's just jump right into it. We actually did a photo shoot last week. So I'm gonna be kind of going back and forth between the shoot and here right in the office. So the first thing that we're gonna be talking about, and the thing that you guys will notice probably the most, is that when you change your aperture, not only does it affect the depth of field in the image, but more importantly, the light. In this shoot, we shot with a lot of really beautiful golden light, and while that's really fun to shoot with, it really does mix up how your image looks depending on what aperture you shoot with. We did a wide variety of different apertures. 1.4, 3.5, and 5.6 were the most common ones that I bracketed at for this specific photo shoot. I took one of each at every location that we did. And you guys will notice right off the bat, besides the depth of field, that the lighting looks a lot different in each one of these. And that's because the aperture does affect the depth of field, which will affect how the light looks in your frame. You're also going to notice that the subject's face looks a little bit different with each aperture. It does give the face a little bit more like a sharpened look as you guys stop up. So meaning you're gonna be shooting at a larger number, so 3.5, 5.6. You're gonna notice that the face of the subject looks a lot different. And that's because the depth of field isn't as strong, so you're actually getting the full face in focus, as well as the back of the face, the entire head. And a lot of the time, this looks really pleasing to the eye. You're also going to notice that 1.4, especially when we shot at the first couple locations, it does look really incredible when you're shooting with backlighting. Backlighting meaning the light is coming from somewhere behind the subject, whether that's the left or the right, that doesn't really matter too much. But if it's golden and it's coming from behind the subject and you're shooting with a shallow depth of field, it's going to look incredible no matter what. And that's why a lot of people stop down to apertures such as 1.4, f2, anywhere in there, because it does look amazing. And I'm not saying in this video that you shouldn't be shooting at that. Rather, I just want to show you guys the differences so you guys can actually take these and really put them into practice and try different apertures for yourself. Every single thing that you're going to take a photo of at f1.4 is going to look good. The bokeh is smooth and kind of crispy at the same time. The light is really glowy if you're shooting with sunlight, but it doesn't mean that you need to shoot it at that every single time. Mix everything up and try something new, especially when you're shooting a photo set. When you switch up your apertures, that is definitely going to give your photo set a different feel and look to it. So the first reason that you would want to switch up your apertures and shoot something more like 3.5 or 5.6 or maybe 4.5, somewhere in there, is because maybe you want to see some of the background. For a lot of us, the background is a pretty important part of the image, and especially if you've gone out of your way to make the background look beautiful, try different apertures to see how much of the background you actually want to get in focus, and then you can start shooting your photos. But basically what I'm saying is shooting at f1.4 allows you to shoot literally anywhere. So if you put any sort of effort into finding a location and getting there at a good time of day where the light is really nice, the last thing you want to do is stop down to 1.4 and not get any of that background detail into the image. For something like this, I'd probably recommend f2.5 to f4, somewhere in there, because you're still going to get a little bit of bokeh, which is obviously what you want if you're going to be taking a portrait specifically. But at the same time, you're going to be able to get some of that background detail as well and really bring the image to a new level. Another reason why I really wanted to talk to you guys about this today is because I think for a lot of people, they think they have to buy that f1.2, that f1.4 lens, when in reality, you can get great images with f4 lenses. Some of my favorite lenses personally are around f2.8, because I think that's a great happy medium between a wide open prime lens that shoots at 1.4 versus a zoom lens, that maybe can shoot f4 or 5.6. 2.8 for me is a great kind of middle ground for all of this. So kind of take all this with a grain of salt and apply it to whatever lens you guys are shooting with as well. So another thing that's really important to note is know the kind of light that you're shooting in, and you have to base your aperture off this as well. Here, as you guys can see, we took a couple different portraits of Jess, 1.4, 3.5, and 5.6, just so you guys can see the differences between the actual background. At 1.4, you can't literally see anything, and personally with this beautiful view behind me, you're definitely gonna want something between 3.5 to 5.6, but honestly, this really comes up to your discretion as well as the photographer. I just kind of wanted to show you guys the differences in something that I would shoot and show you guys the apertures that I'm actually sticking
to time and time again. Again, I'm going to reiterate this as well. If you have a background that you've worked hard to get to, we drove all the way up here because I know this beautiful view behind me of Silver Lake, really, really pretty, nice light, and we want to be able to show that in our photo. And we can't do that if we're shooting at 1.4 or even something like f2 2.5. You're gonna need to mix around and find the aperture that works best for you, and you can only know that if you mess around and try different ones. I would definitely recommend you guys try different apertures at every different location and see which one works the best for you.
So as I said, we shot with a couple different apertures at every single location, and what this actually means is we're bracketing our apertures. We're trying different kinds of apertures just so we can see the differences. I do this a lot with shutter speeds as well, especially when I'm shooting film. I like to do one stop over or one stop underexposed. Same thing with apertures though, you're going to just be shooting at a different aperture and see which one looks best for your image. I would definitely encourage you guys to try this. You're gonna notice after you tried a few different apertures that one definitely sticks out more than the rest. And this is the one that you're probably gonna wanna roll with for the majority of your shoot. But you'll never know if there's a better aperture choice out there unless you try. They all are going to look different with the lighting situation that you're working with. Personally, I think the best photos from this shoot were anywhere from f2 to f3.5 because we were shooting with really beautiful backgrounds.
So I think to a lot of us in 2020, shooting wide open at 1.4 is very trendy and not necessarily frowned upon, but it's expected. And what isn't expected is messing around with your apertures and trying new things. For me, that's essentially why I'm making this video, is to encourage all of you guys to just get creative with your stuff. I think it's very easy to get creative at 1.4, but it's even harder to get creative with other apertures that you might not normally shoot with. So just kind of encouraging you to try new things, try new apertures, try new ways of shooting, and see how it affects your work. You never know, you might love it.